Tonight, when the sun goes down, an annoying digital beep is going to set itself on your phone. Tomorrow morning, that exact beep is going to force you out of bed. You'll probably hate it, tap the screen in frustration, and try to negotiate for 10 more minutes of rest. But that single daily ritual keeps your entire modern life from falling apart. Now, step back for a second and think about this. For 99% of human history, that beep didn't exist. There were no digital displays, no ticking gears, no mechanical chimes, and no gentle app melodies. Yet somehow, our ancient ancestors woke up every single morning, ready to face a world that was infinitely more demanding than ours. If you overslept in an ancient tribe, you didn't just miss a morning meeting or get a late mark at work. You were left behind in a landscape full of sharp teeth and silent stalkers. So, how did our ancestors wake up on time for 300,000 years without a single clock? The answer is coded inside your body right now. When we picture early humans, it is easy to imagine them sleeping peacefully in dark, quiet caves until the world gently brightened outside. But the ancient world was not a peaceful retreat. It was loud, freezing, and wildly unpredictable. Imagine living in an environment where daylight is your only reliable window of safety. If the sun came up and your entire tribe gathered their tools and left to forage, staying asleep for just 1 extra hour carried devastating consequences. It meant you lost your daily share of food, or worse, you became an easy target for a stalking saber-toothed cat, a cave hyena, or a rival tribe. Nature simply couldn't afford a snooze button. If a species was lazy in the morning, it didn't survive long enough to pass on its genes. So over thousands of generations, natural selection built a series of relentless, hardwired biological alarms directly into human DNA. The first and most powerful alarm was light itself, but not in the way most people think. Long before artificial light bulbs, campfire lanterns, or screen displays existed, the human eye evolved specialized photoreceptor cells in the retina. These cells weren't designed to help us see shapes or colors. Instead, they were tuned to detect one specific signal, blue wavelength light from the rising sun. The moment daylight began to filter over the horizon, those specialized cells picked up the signal, even through closed eyelids. The message traveled instantly to a tiny region of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the body's master clock. In response, the brain immediately ordered the pineal gland to halt the production of melatonin, the hormone responsible for making us feel heavy and drowsy. But nature didn't stop at just turning off sleep. At the exact same moment, the adrenal system flooded the bloodstream with cortisol. Yes, cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Nature didn't wait for our ancestors to gently open their eyes and stretch. It literally gave them a tiny, controlled spike of physical stress every single morning to elevate their heart rate, increase blood pressure, and snap their mind into instant survival mode. But what happened if your tribe was sleeping deep inside a subterranean cave where direct sunlight couldn't penetrate? Or what if a heavy storm blocked out the morning sky? Nature had a secondary biological alarm ready: rapid temperature shifts. Just an hour or two before dawn, outdoor ambient temperatures dropped to their absolute lowest point of the 24-hour cycle. As cold airs swept into prehistoric shelters and dying campfires faded into cool ash, human core body temperature naturally plummeted in response. Evolutionary biologists have shown that this sharp thermal drop triggers the brain to shift out of deep, dream-heavy sleep and into light, fragile sleep. In this vulnerable state, the body becomes hyper-aware of its surroundings. Even the softest rustle of dry leaves, the snap of a twig, or a sudden cold gust of wind was enough to pull an ancient human straight out of dreamland and into full consciousness. And if light and temperature somehow failed to do the trick, the most immediate physical alarm clock took over: a full bladder. In deep survival conditions, going to sleep well hydrated wasn't just a basic health necessity, it was an unsnoozable morning timer. Because the human body continues to filter fluids while sleeping, the bladder fills steadily overnight, building physical pressure that no amount of deep exhaustion can ignore. When morning arrived, your internal physiology gave you an ultimatum: wake up right now and move, or deal with a very cold, uncomfortable problem inside a shared shelter. Yet, beyond individual biology, There is a fascinating social secret that evolutionary anthropologists only recently uncovered through studying modern hunter-gatherer communities. Ancient tribes almost never slept all at the same time. This is known as the sentinel hypothesis. In a typical hunter-gatherer group, different age cohorts naturally developed vastly different internal biological clocks. Elders tended to fall asleep early and wake up long before sunrise, while teenagers and young adults naturally stayed alert late into the night to guard the perimeter. In a typical tribe of 20 people, statistical modeling reveals that at least one person was awake, moving around, and watching the environment during 98% of the night. Your morning alarm clock often wasn't a sound at all. It was the rich, distinct smell of smoke from the morning fire being rekindled by an elder, or the low hum of conversation as the camp prepared for the day's trek. So why do so many of us struggle so intensely to drag ourselves out of bed today? Why do we feel groggy, exhausted, and dependent on caffeine just to function? Because modern civilization has systematically dismantled every single one of these ancient biological triggers. We block natural sunrise with thick blackout curtains, fooling our retina into thinking it is still deep night. We maintain a constant, artificial climate with indoor heating and air conditioning, erasing the natural dawn temperature drop that signals our brain to lighten sleep. We stare at glowing blue light screens right before closing our eyes, utterly confusing our pineal gland and suppressing natural melatonin release when we need it most. And then, to force ourselves out of this artificial slumber, we rely on a jarring, high-pitched electronic screech to violently shock our nervous system out of deep REM sleep. Our ancient ancestors didn't need alarm clocks because their environment forced them to live in total, seamless harmony with the natural rhythms of the earth. Their bodies were finely tuned instruments designed to respond to the sun, the cold, and the tribe around them. The next time you find yourself groggily reaching for that phone to hit snooze, remember, your body doesn't actually hate mornings. It just misses the cave. If you want to discover more hidden truths about how our ancestors survived the raw, unfiltered reality of the ancient world, hit subscribe and travel back in time with us.